with Tech Prints, where I specialize in designing apparel and helping young people start their own e-commerce business by following them from beginning to end and building their personal brands and their own platforms. So today we're going to talk about how to accelerate your career with open source. And that's why if you guys did have computers, I was hoping you guys would be able to follow along with me towards the end, where I will give a demo showing you guys how to start an open source project from beginning to end. And open source projects can actually end up being companies, startup companies. It could be a startup idea. It could be something that just gets your name out there, helps you build your personal brand or whatever you want to do. But anything can be open source. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. So open source changed my life. As I mentioned before, I told you guys that I'm a software engineer and I'm from East Oakland. So about 3 years ago, when I was first breaking into tech, I was hit up on Twitter with an open source project idea. And in the beginning, I really didn't know how to code too well, but I'm like, okay, I'm a leader, I can bring people together. I know how to build things, so I'm gonna get on Google and figure out whatever I need to do to try to build this project. So the person was like, okay, I have this idea. I want to try to see if you can build it. I said, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gonna figure it out. Within a couple of weeks, we ended up open sourcing the project. I was able to get a whole team of folks, maybe about 10 people, that helped me start building this project all for free. I didn't have any money to pay anybody $1. But this project was a project that we scaled from just a simple idea to something big. The project is still running right now to this day. And that project helped me get my first tech job. So because I had no experience, when it came to me interviewing for all of these big tech companies, everybody said, I need you to have 5 years of experience, I need you to have 10 years of experience in this, I need this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, I'm a young girl from East Oakland, I don't have these experiences, they didn't teach us this stuff in school, like how can I go get this experience? And open source was how I got that experience. They seen open source on my resume. I was able to go into my interview and go from beginning to end of how I scoped the project from a small idea, built it into this macro thing, got all these people to work under me, and I didn't have no money to pay them. And the fact that I was able to do that, and they were able to go on my GitHub, see my experience and all of that, they were like, okay, we're going to hire her. So coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress, and working together is success. That's a quote by Henry Ford that, to me, it drives open source projects. The key is together. So what is open source? I have some of my family here, my younger cousins, who are still, in middle school and high school. They may have never heard of open source before. Some of you may have never heard of open source before. Hashtag community source. So to me, if you were to ask me what is open source, I would say it's something that's built off of the people. Earlier today, someone asked me a question like, how can I get started with open source if I'm not an engineer? I think the person, here she goes right here, she was a solution architect. And I told her that anybody can build an open source project. It's like, if you go, say you go work for McDonald's, right? You're the person back there flipping the burgers, you got somebody else on the cash register, you got somebody else stocking the materials. Everything that's going on in that business that day is helping that business. When they first started, I don't know, I'm not sure if they started off at open source or if they did, right? But it's the fact that somebody owned it. So say right now, if I was to come to you guys and I said, let's build this project, right? I go and get the logo trademarked, I get the name trademarked, right? And now this project is mine. I bring you guys along, I either pay you guys to help me build it, or I tell you guys I don't have any money right now, I can give you guys this, your resume, I can give you referrals, like I can give you this experience that can help you go wherever, but the fact is that it's my project, right? And so which means I'm the founder. So no matter how many other people that I have work on it, they get those contributions, on their GitHub, on their resume as they worked in this open source project. But at the end of the day, it's my project. Just like if you were to come and you were to say, I'm going to build this project, right? So say if me and you came together in the beginning and we started coming up with the plan, the logo, the name, the solution, the problem, how we're going to solve it. So now the project is ours, right? So technically we will be co-founders. So together, me and you, we will go trademark these things, get our name on these things, and then we'll hire all of these other people.
And everything around it.
Exactly.
The code itself is cool.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, the project is ours.
Okay, thank you.
And same like with these other companies. I think even Facebook has open source projects right now that people randomly just work on. Like anybody can work on an open source project. So how can open source help your career? We mentioned, several ways that anybody can start it. I told you how I started an open source project. It got me my first tech job, right? So you as someone that, I think there's like a lot of people that have been in my group that have been laid off over the last couple of weeks. A lot of them are engineers. I have a lot of other tech friends who are recruiters. They got laid off and they're trying to figure out, okay, if nobody's hiring recruiters right now, how am I going to make money? How am I going to feed my family? Like I've been doing recruiting for the last 15 years. What am I going to do? That's when open source comes into play. Somebody can come, a recruiter, say you're a recruiter, you have this project idea, you want to be the next Uber, right? You want to develop a next Uber platform and you want it to, maybe, I think there's already one that only serves women. Say if you want to build an app that only serves men, picks them up late night when they're going to their girlfriend's house, or whatever it is, right? Like whatever kind of app. And you wanted to build that, you don't know how to code, you come together as that recruiter, right? You get your business plan together, you get your logo built, you get all your ideas, you find one or two people that can code and that can be those engineers. Now you have something scalable that you can be able to take to the next level. Say if you don't want to, make money off this app. Say if it's just something you want to do to just get your name out there, which is what I did, right? When I was doing my open source project, I made money off of it, but I didn't have intentions on making money off of it right then and there. I'm building another one right now with my friends. I had no intentions on making money. My goal is to serve and help the people. So if you are somebody that, are a young kid, you are somebody that's just recently been laid off, you're somebody that's, you're a junior engineer, you're trying to get to a senior engineer role. Open source can help you, it can help me, it can help your mama, your granny, it can help the community. Like right now, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to design a project from beginning to end. And this project we're going to design is going to be something to help Oakland. I designed one of them in another talk about 2 weeks ago, so I'm trying to figure out which one we're going to do today, but we're about to do it. I'm going to show you how easy it is. So what are the steps to create an open source project? The first thing we need is to pick an issue. So say right now, in Oakland, I can say one thing is that, in our schools, out creating these huge projects, right, that can possibly serve the community as a whole, but sometimes, that those solutions that I might come up with, it might be intersected, right? Somebody may feel like there's another way we can be able to get produce, into East Oakland. There may be another way that we can be able to help students in East Oakland have access to computer science and technology and tech jobs. But you outweigh those things from creating your issue, right? And then you actually start weighing out the pros and the cons of how you want to develop your solution. Now, your research. So this is the most important part of building building an open source project. Sometimes, like I say, we may want to just do something small just to build experience, but I like to think big or go home. So if I'm thinking big, on a project, I want to make sure I research the project from all angles, I make sure that if there is somebody else that's doing what I'm doing, how can I do it differently, or how can I set myself different? So when people see my brand, they know exactly what I stand for and they know what I'm doing. So you try to really see, right, when you're weighing out your pros and your cons, literally, every time I'm building a project, I get a piece of paper. And, you know, on the left, how can this project help me? How can this project help my friends? How can this project help my family? How can it help my community? And then what are the benefits of me possibly starting this project, right? Who all benefits from this? Is it just me? You know, is it people way in Africa? Is it people in China? Like, who benefits from this? And then we have to also weigh in the cons. So is this project going to be supported? Like I said, right, I may try to come into Oakland and develop this new project to bring produce, and all the, you know, liquor stores are like, no, we don't want you. Like, you know, we want to keep selling our liquor. Like, you take your ass somewhere else and go somewhere, you know? And it might happen, right? So that's why you have to make sure you do your research, you weigh out your pros and your cons, and you figure out, like, is it even worth it to build this project? Is it even worth it to build an alarm clock? I can just use, you know, Siri, or I can just, you know, use my iPhone. So you weigh those things out. And like I said, do people disagree? And then also, is there competition? And if there is somebody that is competing against your brand, I think a lot of us were just in the talk over there where she was talking about trademarks and setting your brand different, right? So Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they're almost the same, but they're not the same. It's a totally different brand, right? But there's Pepsi here and then there's Coca-Cola here. So if you're gonna go make a replica of something, you know, change it a little bit. You add in a little flavor, make something a little different. And like, I'm waiting for somebody to create a new phone that's not, you know, iPhones from Apple. Like, why is that all everybody want to use now? Apple just took over. I got an Apple computer, I got an Apple phone. Like, these shits is expensive. You know, and if you don't have one of these, everybody looking at you like you're not cool. Like, it's just how the way things changed over the years. It's really crazy. But like, this can be an open source project. Apple, I don't know how they started Apple. I don't really remember how it was developed, but it could have been an open source project.
It was the operating system is based on FreeBSD was like open source platform.
See? And now look how much money they make. But they have people that, or use the technology that people built for free. People all over the world come in and you post your tickets or you post the help that you need online. And it's crazy. I think I just participated in Hacktoberfest this past October with my team. We created this new project, and at like 1 and 2 in the morning, it's people like way in China and India working on our project, and I'm getting updates, and I'm like, where are these people coming from? And